Hello, this is George Edmondson with MotionVFX.com. Today we're going to be looking at the brand new plugin mCollage from MotionVFX. mCollage is a pack of modules for building your own slideshow-like compositions. It's a very powerful plugin with easy-to-use design features that help you create attention-grabbing stories and other social media videos. The mCollage plugin can be found in your titles under mCollage. In the mCollage titles, you'll notice that you have a series of different titles. You have several different movements. You have these nifty add-ons. You have backgrounds. We have different doodles. These are hand-drawn animated style elements that can be used in different ways for your composition. And then we have frames, and we have got so many. We've got 38 different frames, and these are going to be used to hold those drop zones for different videos and images. We have different overlay effects that are so much fun and really give a very unique character to your compositions. Then we have pins and clips that can be used. We have tapes. And lastly, but certainly not least, a ton of different typography presets, 38 to be exact, that are all, of course, beautifully animated and just drag and drop. Why don't we start from scratch and create a composition using mCollage? So when using mCollage, you'll always want to start with a background. So let's scroll back up and we see we have background here. In this tutorial, I'm going to use background number 11. So let's just grab that and drag it into our timeline. You can see here that that is pre-animated for us to just slide in there. You have your on-screen controls where you can adjust the scale, rotation, and crop here. Now let's open up our inspector and we can show you some of those parameters. You of course have your animation in and out. And then if you want to, you can use the inspector for your content's position, rotation, and scale instead of using the on-screen controls. Then we have animation mode, and this just gives you all of these different animation options. You've got so many different options that you can really fine-tune and create that perfect composition and animation that you want really quickly and really easily. So you'll see this curl, strength, angle, rotation, etc. This is only going to be if you are using the curl animation, as you can see here. So if you go in and you start to adjust your curl radius and strength, you can see how that's affected. You can make further adjustments to this. If we bring this down, you can see we can do a rounded off corners if we want. And then there is our mask option there. And of course, opacity as well. So you've got so many options. It's so much fun. And lastly, we have colorization, so that if you want to change the colors of your background, you can use this colorization and make those changes. All right, now that we've got our background in place, why don't we start looking at some frames that we can put in? So why don't we scroll down to our frames? And for this composition, I'm going to use frame 4. I think that this just has a really cool look to it along with this background. So we're going to pick that up and drag it in over our title. Now, notice that we've got this set. It's all animating together. I kind of want my background to come in first and then my frame to be animated in. So I'm just going to drag that title over, and then you can see we have our animation of our background, and then we have the animation of our frame. So you can see here that our animation is coming in currently from the top. I kind of want this to slide in from the left. So let's go and change that to left. And then I also want this to be smaller, as I'm going to add more drop zones. So I'm going to go ahead and scale this down and bring it down into the left corner here. I also know later I'm going to add a letterbox effect to this final composition, so I am going to have this up just a bit. All right, the next thing I want to do is add some content to my drop zone. So in our library, we have several different clips here ready for us. So I'm going to highlight the frame title, click on our drop zone well, and go ahead and select our first video here. And click apply. Now you can see that that video is playing in our preset. And I think I want to scale that up just a little bit more. So let's go ahead and grab that on-screen control and let's bring that up a bit as well. I'd like this to blend just a bit better with our background. So I'm going to come in and go to our colorization, and why don't I go in and I'm going to select the color of the background just so that it blends a bit better. Why don't I do that lighter color? There we go. Love it. All right, next, I know that I'm going to continue to use this frame as I want the overall look to be consistent throughout. So I'm going to highlight my clip, press Option, click and drag up, and then I'm going to slide this frame down just a bit more so that it's animated after our first. As you can see there, I'm going to select this and change the drop zone to our next clip. Let's click apply. And I'm going to drag those on-screen controls up and over to our left here. And I'd like these to be animated from the top now. So why don't we go in and change that to top left. Let's check that animation. Nice. Okay, and again, I'm going to highlight that clip, hold Option, click and drag up. Let's change this duration slightly. We will change our drop zone content. We will click Apply Clip, and let's drag that over and set this up here kind of in the center. Notice that this is an ultra wide clip here that we're using. So I'm going to go into our drop zone pan, and we are going to change our X parameter to slide that over just to center that up a bit better. We can scale this up slightly and come down on our Y as well. Now I'd like this animation to come in from the top. So let's select top. All right, let's check how that looks so far. Nice. Select our frame, Option, click and drag up. Bring our frame down just a bit. We will go in and select our next drop zone. Click Apply Clip. Change our selection here. And since we copied that frame, you can see that our drop zone pan and everything is still set to those changed parameters. So let's just reset those. And I think I want this to animate from the bottom. All right, let's check that out. Really nice. Option, click, drag up. We will slide this down just a bit and select a new clip for our drop zone. Apply our clip. Why don't we drag this up to our top right now? And I'd like to animate that from our top right animation preset. I believe I'm going to drag that down just a bit to better match. Option, click and drag up. Bring that animation down just a bit more. Select a new and final video clip here. Apply our clip and bring down to this final position here, bottom right. And let's change our animation to bottom right. So let's see how that looks. Really nice. I'm really liking the way this is looking. I think I want our original to actually be over just a bit on X. So let's change that in our inspector. And we're going to do the same for the other bottom clips here. I believe I'm also going to just bring those down slightly just to get a little bit more space between our top and bottom clips. All right, next, let's go back over to mCollage in our titles. And why don't we go to our Doodles now, and we can find just some really fun, quick animated presets to drag over these and just make it a bit more fun. So we can drag doodle number 8, our arrow here. Why don't we just drag that down to match our frame 4? And you can see how that's animated, and we can just really quickly use those on-screen controls to change where those are. All right, and why don't we go and grab doodle number 9 and just drag that in. And again, just really quickly drag that and bring that over here. And drag doodle number 10. Drag this in. Why don't we do doodle number 13, and that'll be our last doodle for the day. All right, now I think I want a bit of typography, so why don't we scroll down to our typography section. And I really like this look, so why don't we grab typography number 3, drag that in, and have it match our doodles as well. We can just bring that down, and why don't we bring it up just a bit here. Let's change this to. And of course, in this typography, you have all of these animation, in and out, content scale, opacity, titles, etc., just as you would any other typography preset. Actually, I want that to be a bit pronounced, more pronounced as well. So I'm going to slide it over, bring it up just a bit. Maybe something like this. There we go. And now that I'm looking at my composition, I noticed that she's holding a camera. So why don't we go back to our circular doodle there, and let's circle that camera. Just something real subtle. And we can, of course, change our arrow. Now, why don't we give a bit of a mood to our composition? In mCollage, why don't we go to our overlay effects, and let's do the plant shadow effect. Any of you that have ever worked in video for a while know what a cookie is. This is similar to a cookie or cucaloris. There's your term for the day that you have learned if you've never heard that before. But why don't we just see how that looks? That is already giving just a bit of atmosphere and look to our composition here. And of course, you've got all of these different modes, animations, etc. Plant shadows. Why don't we check out plant shadow number 7? Yeah, I like that. That looks like a cookie. That looks beautiful. Great, let's continue to work on the overall look and feel of our composition. Why don't we add a window light from our overlay effect? Let's just bring that in, and we can show you how that looks. That is on and that is off. And what you're getting here, you can see these streaks as though a window is just has some light kind of glaring in from the sun, and that nice flicker is animated over. And once again, you've got all of these different modes, window all the way up to number 7. I really like 3. I like those streaks there, so I think we're going to keep that. All right, next, why don't we go and add an off-screen light? So let's just bring that title in. And you can see as that gets loaded in how that is affecting our overall composition. Just adding a bit of a nice color. I'm going to bring that opacity down just a bit so that it's not too harsh. I think I'm going to change that color slightly here, just to have a little bit more of the overall look and feel of our composition. Again, you can see how that looks. Now, with this, you can also see we've got some particles as part of this light. You can go in and check those on and off if you'd like. I really like the way they look. I think I'm going to bring the opacity down on those just a little bit. But you also have your on-screen controls for this light, and they affect the rotation of your particles. as well as where your light is starting. You can see that fall off there. I really like all of this coming in from the top left though. As you can see, we have our light and our shadows and everything are coming in just before our background. So for this, I think I'm going to turn my background animation off so that it's already there, set up, ready to go. And then we've got our animation in on all of our frames. Matter of fact, seeing it now, I'm going to drag all of these over so that they start right at the beginning here. All right, next I think I'm going to add an off-screen shadow. So why don't we bring that title in now? And let me go ahead and show you what that is doing to our composition. With our off-screen shadow, you can see that we have our options here for our on-screen controls. So we want this to be just really subtle. So I think I'm just going to select that and set it up to just be falling off there to the right. And as we play around with this, I think that I just want that to kind of be coming in and falling off there over from the top right, just to give almost a vignette sort of look to our composition. All right, next in our overlay effects, I'm going to use the first one in our overlay effects, which is blurring. And what this is doing is just kind of drawing your attention to really wherever you want it. So again, you've got these on-screen controls, and I want everyone's attention to really be focused on our title here. So as you can see, when I turn that on and off, our composition gets nice and soft really there on the edges. It's a vignette blur, but of course you can also do a gradient blur if you'd like. I really like that vignette blur. And as always, you have all of these different options inside of your inspector, such as blur strength, your vignette blur horizontal, vertical, etc. And you can invert that if you would like to. All right, next, I really want the color to be a bit better matching overall. So why don't we use our next color look overlay effect, and we're gonna drag that in on top. And you can see here really quickly that you've got a more consistent look. Now, I do think this is a bit strong, so I'm gonna bring our contrast strength down just a bit. And you can see we've got our color look mix that we can adjust as well. And your color look mode, you have got so many different options. We can really quickly just show you how all of those look. A really quick and easy way to add a consistent look to your overall composition. All right, next I want to add the lens dirt title here, and let's turn that on and off so you can really see what it's doing. It's very subtle, but as you can see right here, you've got just a bit of dirt and smudging going on. Because we are going for sort of an old and worn out look here for our composition, I think that that looks really nice. It's really subtle. We can actually bring that opacity down just a bit as well. And again, you've got your flicker options for that dirt. So let's just kind of see what that's doing here. I really like where it is, so I'm gonna leave it. So now why don't we scroll back up and let's go to our first option here, which is movement. And essentially this is just camera movement animations. You've got your custom, move horizontal, move vertical, zoom in and zoom out. MotionVFX has made this really simple, where you're able to build compositions like this with moving camera animation very quickly. So I'm simply going to drag my move horizontal on top of all of this, and you can see that all of our composition has that subtle movement there to the left that really looks nice. Now again, we can set our movement start point. Here you do have this on-screen control option, so you can see where you're starting and you can see where you're ending. So if you want to move from right to left, just set your on-screen controls to do that. You can also go in and scale your background as well. The more scale that you have, the more that movement is going to be. So just keep that in mind, and you've got your movement smoothness option. All right, I love it. I think the final thing that I would like to do is just add a final overlay, and that is going to be our letterbox. So let's drag that onto our clip, and you can see now that we have got a beautiful composition that was done very, very quickly. You have that animation on that letterbox if you want. I think I'm going to leave that off for now so that it can just start. But if you do want to, you can use your on-screen controls to adjust the amount of letterbox that you want. All right, again, this has been George Edmondson with MotionVFX.com. Thank you for checking out our tutorial on the new mCollage plugin. This mCollage plugin is great, especially for people that need to quickly create maybe photo slideshows or videos for social media, presentations, etc. We can't wait to see what you come up with. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.